This week I learned, man, I really miss doing these on Fridays. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we have turned into the month of February now. Just like that, the year is already zipping by oh so fast. A lot of fun things to talk about this week, so let's go like usual, guys. Let's kick things off with what am I reading? Well, I continued with We Are the Dead. This is one that I made a short about on the channel because I think that's a good way to kind of keep people up to date with what you're currently reading. This is one because I didn't want to start reading the next Red Rising book before the actual official read-along date. So I started doing this a little bit, but I'm having a great time with this. This is very, very brutal, very, very dark, grim. This is some of the, and I still don't think it's quite to the point of nihilism, because, I always say the whole thing about if you get too grim dark, people are just going to start to accuse it of just being nihilism. I don't think that, because I do have characters already in it that I'd like to see succeed. And there's also characters in it that I'm like, wow, I'd like to see you die, So he's doing pretty good character work, but it is a very, very grim situation that this whole city finds himself under, being occupied, and with, the occupiers basically being like convert or die, and they're really, really imposing some really, really bad things on them. So it's got some stuff in here. I actually have been tweeting back and forth with the author on Twitter, and I was like, wow, I can already hear the from people that are reading this and going to have problems with it. And he just responded with a Goodfellas gif of ever since I can remember I wanted to be a gangster. So Mike obviously gives 0 Fs, and this book definitely gives 0 Fs because it is in your face with the bad things. So let's put it out there. But I am loving it. I think it's great. If you are like me and right here, in place of a heart, you have like the Grinch, you have like the lump of coal right here, and you love these things. When it comes to reading fiction, I think you're going to like what you find quite a bit. Very good. I'm only about 130, 140 pages into it because I'm reading that in between other things. But I'm having a great time with it. Can't wait to continue. And early signs for me are yes. I think if you like those things I just talked about, you're going to enjoy quite a bit. I did start the official read-along for Golden Sun, and guys, it's just as good as I remember. And here's the thing. I'm having to make myself, I'm physically having to force myself to pump the brakes because, guys, we're on day 3 and I'm almost done. I could have flew through this book probably in the first day. His books are just so fast-paced, you guys, and every chapter just snaps. And every chapter ends with a cliffhanger, and you're just like, well, this is really everything that you say. One more chapter, this is it. This exemplifies that statement for sure. And it's so good, guys. And I am happy to report that I did not set the bar too high because pretty much everyone I have seen on the read-along are like, you are right, Mike. This feels completely different than book 1. This is phenomenal. I am so wrapped up in it. There's people that are finished already. There's people who are already done. And it's they're debating if they want to continue already with book 3 a little early. But yeah, everything that I remember about why I like this so much my first read is very prevalent. I have a pretty good memory on this. About 3 years ago, I read it. And like I said, I read it in a matter of about 48 hours. And it's just so good, guys. I hope that you will give this series a go. And if you didn't like book 1, I implore you, pick this one up. I didn't like book 1 the first time, remember? And this is my favorite sci-fi series right now. So I hope you guys will pick it up because this is just banging. I can't wait to talk about it. My standard spoiler-free review and the spoiler discussion I have planned with the wonderful people at Howler Pod. It's going to be a lot of fun as we work through that. Before closing off the original trilogy next month, and just a little bit of Percy Jackson. Did get back to reading that. Thing is like, my kid has this rule in place where, hey, if you want to read, we got to start reading by a certain time. And if you want to keep doing other stuff until there, you've used up your reading time. So he started thinking he was slick and he was just going to go until 30 minutes past that time and then say, let's read. And I'd be like, So we had to get back on task with that. But again, this is just when time allows, a chapter or so a night. Sometimes we don't even make it through a chapter because, again, kids, I'm not tired. And as soon as you start reading, they're out. But that's how it goes. But no real update there. Like I said in my my yearly wrap-up, or not my yearly wrap-up, my January wrap-up, he is very much obsessed with the prophecy that book lays out, and he is trying every day, he's trying to decipher something from that prophecy, and that's how I know I've got a future fantasy reader on my hands, because we obsess over prophecies all the time. But guys, that's everything I've been reading. How about what am I going to read? Well, Philip texted me that he had already started Golden Fool, and I told him, obviously, I got a read along going, but I'll finish up Golden Sun this weekend, and I'll start on this next week. And again, We Are the Dead, I'm going to keep reading concurrently. This is going to take priority, obviously, because I'm reading with somebody, and I'm sure Philip will probably finish before I even start, because Philip is he's Johnny Five. He's like Johnny Five. You guys remember that movie, Short Circuit? You guys might not. Check out Short Circuit. If you got kids, they'll love it. It's great. About a robot who thinks he's alive. It's great. Johnny Five is alive. Anyhow, Golden Fool will be started sometime probably early next week. If I fly through that as fast as I flew through Fool's Errand, the next up on the list will be a man called Uva, but I doubt I'll get through that one. I don't know. I think Robin Hobb books are unpredictable like that. Like I said, most of the live ship books, they took me about a good 9 to 12 days a piece, whereas Fool's Errand took me like 3 days, So it just kind of depends, I think. Again, not exactly what I call short, maybe a little short side for Ms. Hobb, but we will see what happens with it. That's really all I have planned really for next week, and to continue working on We Are the Dead. How about this week on the channel, guys? I'm not going to lie to you. I know the last 2 weeks, it's been a little hard on me. So like I said, I talked about briefly last week, had a health thing, and then it's just been that thing where I've started to get a little hard on myself. This happens once in a while, where I'll get a little hard on myself, and I'll look at what I have planned to record, and I'll be like, that's just not good enough. That's not good enough content. I don't feel like that's content that my viewers have come to expect out of me, and so I'll scrap it. Problem with that is, I didn't have anything into play. So, I mean, last week I kind of came up with that Stephen King video out of nowhere, and that one worked out okay. But this week, man, I think this is the first time I haven't had a video on a Monday in like 3 years. I always have a video on a Monday. I just couldn't think of anything I wanted to record, and it just didn't happen. So, anyways, this week's been kind of light, I know. We'll try to get back. I've started scheduling out again. I usually will schedule out my videos for about 3 weeks in advance and then kind of adjust as time goes by if something pops up I wasn't expecting, just so I don't have that problem. But I want to make sure, like I said, I kind of am holding my feet to the fire a little bit, making sure it's quality over quantity. That's always what I want to do here. But did continue with Talk About Nothing. Had my great friend Madison Goodyear on. Probably the easiest Talk About Nothing ever, because a lot of people have watched that and been like, wow, you guys have great timing. You guys sound like you've been like podcasting for years. It's like, guys, on the Discord, we have a voice chat, and whatever that conversation we just had for 2+ hours there, that's the kind of stuff that a group of us talk about on the Discord all the time. So again, it's easy to do a Talk About Nothing when you're talking to a friend, because it's the stuff that we talk about all the time anyways. But it was great, and I'm glad that you guys are checking out Madison's channel. Now, she is over 2,000 subs. She deserves a lot more. I'm talking to her about branding and stuff, and coming up maybe with a different channel name. Who knows if she'll take my advice, but I want to help her out any way that I can. And you guys can help her out by checking out her channel and press and subscribe, checking out her stuff. I think she's really great. I admire that she does a lot of the stuff like I do, where she does 0 camera breaks. That's great. I think that's a talent that a lot of booktubers don't have, and she does. So I hope you guys will check out her channel, and I'm so thankful she agreed to come on to Talk About Nothing, because it was a great time. Hope to get back to 1 per month of Talk About Nothings, because I do really enjoy those. I did my, I already kind of alluded to it, but I did my January 23 wrap up and my book of the month. If you've been watching these weekly updates at all, pretty sure you knew what the book of the month was going to be, but we still have to do those things. A little longer than most of those. It's like a 27-minute video, and I think that was because I read so much in January. It was the first time I've crossed 10 books in a long time now. There's 9 books in a novella, but still, it was a very busy reading month. I know that sounds like a lot on paper. A lot of those were shorter. Like I said, I went through Fool's Errand in a couple days. What was a Driss book? How long did those take? Red Rising, you can kind of fly through like that. One of them was a novella by Robin Hobb. So it was just a brief month, but I did make that promise to myself to stop social media and so much. Now that kind of fell off this week as the local football team is going through a coaching search and a coaching hire, and that's always very exciting. And look, guys, this time of year, American football dominates things here. Okay, so that's just a thing that's going to happen. But for the most part, like I said, I've been staying off of social media a lot, because I noticed myself hanging around on Instagram. I even started doing TikTok again. Not watching. I'd never watched TikTok, guys, but I am trying to post some stuff over there. But basically, if I make a reel or a short on here, I'll go ahead and post it on TikTok too. But I found myself using social media more than I was used to in November and December. And so I want to kind of reel it back. And that's why I was able to read so much this month. And that's why that video was longer than usual. And that's why that explanation was longer than I wanted it to be. I did do a rapid review that is basically a short where I feel like I don't want to do a full review for this, but I can give people an idea about how I felt on it. I did that for The Witcher Time of Contempt. Don't have a lot to add here that I didn't say last week on the channel. Basically, just that it's not the version of the story that I want. I want more Geralt. I want less Ciri. I want more out in the wilderness hunting monsters, going from town to town, and I want less time at court. So it felt like that was just not the part of the journey that I'm really interested in. I hope that Baptism of Fire brings back some of those things that I loved earlier in the series, because I do see why so many people, especially in the States, do kind of tap out on it. But I have admitted that maybe some of that is the translation, because a lot of people have said that American translation is really, really dull, and a lot of things are lost in translation. So who knows? Who knows? But like I said, I like the book enough to continue with the series. I'm just not going to make it like a super, nothing I'm going to do immediately. Nothing that I'm like, okay, as soon as, if I finish my books that I've got on my TBS month, I'm doing The Witcher next. Definitely not. Definitely not. But like I said, it is good enough for me to continue. I did a appearance over on Andrew Wizardly Reads last night. That was, I kind of made the joke of, I have no idea what reading sprints are. So Andrew was kind enough to pop my cherry, and like I told him on that broadcast, I'm glad it was him, because he's just such a sweet guy, and if I was going to give my cherry to anybody, I'm glad it was Andrew. Apparently you just read together, and I always said that I never understood. No one wants to watch anyone read, I guess. But I guess it really isn't what you're doing. You're not doing it really for the viewers as much as other creators, just encouraging yourselves to buckle down and read. It's never a problem for me. But, it's fun. It's fun to say, hey, here's this hobby. Here's this thing that brought us all together as friends, on the internet. And, hey, let's hang out and do that for 30 minutes together. It was a lot of fun. I was only able to stay through one sprint. Because it was a Thursday night. I had things I had to get done with the kids and stuff like that. But thank you, Andrew, for inviting me. That was very, very nice. I think I started crashing a lot of live streams recently and being like, no one ever asks me to be on their stream. So now I've got like 10 people have asked me to be on their stream. So I appreciate it. But yeah, great time. And hey, anyone asks you to be on a reading sprint, I say do it. It's a lot of fun. So how about some next week plans, guys? I will be opening up the week by doing my book haul, and I got to do that because I've got them all down here, and it's making a mess. It's making a huge mess. So if I do the book haul earlier in the month, it's usually because I need to get them off my floor. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't like to put them away on the shelves because I don't forget, but I'm going to do my book haul, and like I said, I know there are some things that people sent me in December for Christmas that didn't get here in time, and I did get them in January. So if you were looking for me to talk about something in December, I might have got it in January, but there are some things that still haven't showed up, but I will bring that up on the video in case that is you and you need to get a hold of Amazon and be like, excuse me, this never arrived at the intended point. I'm going to be doing a review next week, and if you caught that short, I did a little teaser for it. Not that many people watched it, but again, I know how people feel about shorts. I thought a neat idea for shorts would be to do teaser trailers. You know how I'll do my reading introductions for some of these book reviews that I do, like the reading excerpt. I thought maybe do like a 60-second kind of like a teaser preview for that. So I did that for A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin. Now that is a series that I am going through very slowly and reviewing. Like I did Fire and Blood back in like September. I did A Game of Thrones in December. And I'll be doing A Clash of Kings now. I want to get it out there before I start A Storm of Swords in April. And yeah, it's just that's a series, guys. It's just so super important to me. So I want to make sure that I give those reviews every single bit of the attention they deserve. I'll probably end up spending like 10 hours making a 2-minute reading intro because, again, that series is very special to me. And I want to make sure that it shows up on the film, that you guys feel like, yeah, I can see why this book and this series is so important to you. So I'll be doing that this week. By popular demand, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, God, Mike, really? I thought it was ridiculous. But I am real big about giving the people what they want. They want to see a coffee mug tour. I've got all these great coffee mug stuff. This one's still one of my favorites. I love you. Thank you so much. But they want to see a coffee mug tour. So I want to make sure that I got a few coffee mugs sitting up at my office right now. So I'm going to get those. Get them all together. Make sure I can show you guys all of them. And I'm thinking about a neat way to present them. And that I guess I'll try to get that out sometime this week. I mean, again, I didn't think that was anything anyone cared to see, but I did say after my good friend Scott, the Bald Booktuber, did a baseball hat tour, I think I can justify a coffee mug tour now, since it is basically what I call something that is part of the branding here on the channel. And guys, certain tiers of my Patreon, you can get a Mike's Book Reviews coffee mug if that is something that you are interested in. I think that'll be it for me on the channel. There'll be some shorts and things like that. I did do a short about Avatar: The Way of Water, and I never uploaded it on Mike's Media Reviews. So yeah, it's just one of those things, guys. Just kind of falls between the cracks. I am going to be doing a Friends on Books over on Matt's channel, Matt on Books. We're going to be talking about A Game of Thrones. I think that's, who is it? Me, Scott, and I think Steve Talk Books are going to be over there with Matt talking spoilers for the first book in that, because Joanna's having her read along, but she didn't invite me. And so Matt said, I'll invite you to my conversation. And I'm just busting chops. I love Joanna to pieces. I know she had this planned for a long time. It's just one of those things when people are talking about my favorite series and they don't invite me, I get sad. But it's going to be a great conversation on her channel. I can't wait to watch that conversation that she's going to have. And then I can't wait to join Matt on his conversation over there. Should be a ton of fun talking about what I think is the best first book in any fantasy series ever. And I stand by that, and I will explain why when I do that. I am putting together a Saturday Night Nights, guys. I did say on my monthly wrap-up I'd like to get back to doing Saturday Night Nights. I've got my people together. The thing is, it's going to be a special one. I'm going to be doing what I call an early edition of Saturday Night Nights. And the reason that is because, yeah, clever name, but it's hard to get anyone who is across the pond that isn't in the States because the time zone difference. So I said I was going to have an early edition. I've got the people invited that have all accepted that want to come on. It's going to be Issa from Fun Fantasy Books. It's going to be Patrick from Patrick Reads. Obviously, all you guys know who Patrick is. And it's going to be Library of a Viking. I don't want to reveal his real name because I think he's like a superhero. He doesn't want you to know his real name. Anyway, so we got that worked out. The problem is none of us are, all four of us, available on one Saturday during February. So I think we're going to push that till March. So I don't know if I'm going to try to get together another group for a Saturday Nights in February, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I can't wait to talk to them. I mean, I feel like it's ridiculous that Petrick and I have had booktube channels this long. We've never collaborated, so I'm glad to finally be having him on the channel. And Issa's a great channel. If you haven't checked out her channel, she's got so much energy. I said she is like the female equivalent of Library at Alexandria, and just that she's got so much energy, and it makes you want to read stuff because of her enthusiasm, just like Alan does. So I hope you guys will check out. I'll link all their channels below if you haven't subscribed yet. Great group. I can't wait to talk to them when that does happen. But that's all I got on the channel for this week, guys. There are a couple of TV and movie talk things I think I should discuss before I go. Got to talk about Last of Us Episode 3. No spoilers, guys. Don't worry if you haven't watched it yet. I just want to kind of address that I think this was a great episode of television. It really was. It was very, very well written. All of the hyperbole about this is the greatest hour plus of television that HBO has ever produced, think you might need to pump the brake a little bit. Here's what I said, and this is what my wife actually repeated to me first. Anyway. She said it before I did, and I'm repeating it to you now, is when it was over, she was like, that was really good. It made me think of something like Mike Flanagan would do. It was really good. She's like, my problem is, I haven't connected with your two main characters of your show yet. Why did we just spend 84 minutes on side characters that are going to have nothing to do with the rest of the series? So with her, it was the placement. And I agree. That episode was really good. That also seemed like the episode that would be like season 4, episode 6 somewhere. Not the third episode of your show, and not the longest episode of your show yet. So while I think it was a really, really great episode of television, and I do have problems with the things that it changes from the game, but in the end, they're still in the same place where they were in the game at this point, so it's okay. I do question the decision making, and it's I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel like my people that watch Lost. Do you remember when that Nikki and Paolo episode happened? I feel like it was the Nikki and Paolo episode, but with better writing. It was much better writing. That Nikki and Paolo episode is regarded as the worst episode of Lost ever. I disagree. But a lot of people are like, why did we just spend 45 minutes of this episode with two characters I've never seen before, and we didn't progress the storyline at all? Same thing here, except it was way too early. But again, guys, I don't want you to misunderstand. I liked the episode. It was really great. I think Nick Offerman, I always want to call him Ron Swanson. That's some of the best acting I've ever seen him do. He was great. Both of those guys were awesome in that episode. Really, really was. Again, it just seems like it was kind of out of place. That should have something later in the series, but I understand why they wanted to do that, because that is something that is much different in the game, but it is a very, very minor, brief, like mission of the week kind of thing in the game there. So I don't know. But again, I did like the episode. I'm just not ready to hail it as the greatest thing HBO has ever done, like the rest of the internet seems to be doing. Did take my kid to see Avatar 2: The Way of Water. And you'll find no hater right here, guys. We both loved it. We both had a great time. I went into it expecting, okay, look, my eyeballs are going to eat. That's going to be great. And it did. But I was like, I expected the story to be about as basic or generic or forgettable as the first one. Story was actually quite good, I thought, this go around. I think the whole ocean aspect was much, much better biome than the forest was. It was absolutely gorgeous movie, but the storyline was actually really good in this. And I think it might be some of that dad shit, because it is very much about Jake and Neytiri and their kids. And about a third of the way through it, I was like, oh no, Jake and Neytiri have really been sidelined. We're really following the 4 kids in this one. But I'll be damned if James Cameron didn't make me care about all 4 of those kids. And I won't lie, there's some dad shit at the very end that got me right here. It made me choke up. I'm not going to lie. So what do I always say, guys? Don't doubt James Cameron. He's great. He just does stuff that other people just say is impossible or say that nobody wants. And, he's got the 4th highest grossing movie of all time. So I know that some people, they're never going to give Avatar a legit chance. But I had a great time with Avatar 2. I would watch it again. And yeah, was it long? Yeah, it was. But guys, never once did I look at my watch and be like, good Lord, I got an hour left. Never. It felt long, but it never felt long to like, oh my God, I want this to be over. Or I wish I was somewhere else. I was like, oh, great. We got like another 30 minutes. I can't wait to see what I see next. So I had a great time with it. I'd say it's probably my 3rd favorite movie of 2022. Not ready to put it above RRR yet, which is still just like a Cinderella story or Top Gun. But yeah, right there. And as far as like special effects, yeah, I mean, obviously that should win every award. Awards they haven't even created yet. They should give it its own category, because James Cameron's never going to be touched in that department. It looks so real that so many times my 10-year-old, who by the way, said this movie is right behind T2 as his favorite movie he's ever seen. And I know it's going to be a little bit of excitement at that age, but he was all over it. He loved it. And so many times he leaned over to me and be like, I keep forgetting I'm not watching a real movie, that it's just mostly CGI because everything looks so real. And he's right. It really did. So impressive movie, guys. Please go see it on the big screen. If you haven't, you need to. You'll regret it. So I went ahead and did it. I knew that I would regret it if I didn't see it on the big screen. It is worth every penny, guys. Go see it on the biggest and loudest screen that you can. It's a wonderful movie. And like I said, if you got kids, you got a family, I think you'll end up liking it a lot more than single no kids people won't, because it really did just hit all of those things that I think that someone who has a strong family bond will love to see. And like I said, dad shit, man, it will get you. It'll get you real good. I guess I got to talk about this DC slate that they did announce. A lot of people have asked me about this. I didn't bring it up when I was talking to Madison, but I got it in the comments a lot. The DCEU slate that was announced by James Gunn. Now, I feel like there's 3 different camps when it comes to this, when it comes to the whole DC on film in general. Camp number 1, you can hear everything you want to hear, and you don't believe. You're like, nope, stupid. Nobody wants this. This is dumb. It's gonna be trash. Okay, that's your opinion. 2, there's the people who don't care. They just want to see DC characters on the big screen. So they're like, oh my God, yes, it's finally happening. And then 3, camp 3 is where I kind of am, where you hope for the best, but you expect the worst, because you've seen Warner Brothers just have such a great idea and just blow it every single time. Every single time there's a new architect that comes in to fix DC Pictures or DC on Film or whatever they're calling it this week, it always just kind of flames out. And you always wonder how much studio meddling is really chasing these people off. Well, they have a vision. Well, look, with this, I am a James Gunn fan, so I'm going to be kind of biased here. When you watched his unveiling, you cannot deny to me his enthusiasm for these properties. So that's why I feel like it is in good hands. And at least now, for the first time, it feels like they have a plan. Now, this is the first half. It's supposed to be 10-movie arc in the first phase, if you will, of the DCU. Now, I think what actually kind of upset some people is he mentioned the TV stuff. I wish he had just talked about the 5 movies, because people hear the TV tie-in stuff and they already start having that whole thing where they're standoffish, like, I don't want to commit to all these TV shows. Here's the thing about that, guys. You don't have to watch any of those. And look, I don't plan to watch the TV stuff except Green Lantern. Green Lantern's the only stuff I care about. It's going to be called Lanterns. Look, give me a Hal Jordan and a Jon Stewart buddy cop and space movie or TV series, I'm there for it. And apparently he says that is something that they want to lead to later down the line. I think they're eventually going to do Sinestro Corps, where they're eventually going to do Blackest Night, which as a Green Lantern fan would be amazing. I would love to see that, obviously. So I was upset at first when I didn't see it as a movie. But I think that series is going to set up those two characters so you don't have to establish the huge lore that's in Green Lantern. Because, guys, Lanterns, there is an enormous learning curve on all the lore, what all the colors mean, what the different rings are. So I feel like that's great for a long-form television show. And that when they have the movie, they can just, boom, drop you right in that universe and you're good to go. You know who Hal Jordan is. Who knows? You might know who Guy Gardner is. You know who all these people are. I can't wait to see Kilowog. I hope Kilowog's on there. But as far as the movies go, I feel like the 4 movies they talk about are pretty good. Or 5. I already forget the team-up movie. It's characters I don't know. As a big DC Comics fan, I don't even know. But here's the thing. Remember when Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out? I don't care what people tell you now. They didn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy were, and they're like, oh, this is going to flop. And that was James Gunn. And look what he did. It's maybe some people's favorite. It's my favorite thing in the MCU. It's the only MCU movie going forward that I want to see is Guardians 3. So I have no doubt that James Gunn will make that entertaining in the least. But again, they're starting with a Superman movie. Look, I'm a huge Superman fan. I know some of you people don't like Superman. I get it. I know that some people think he's too OP. And it's just, there's so much more to Superman than just his abilities. His story is really great. So I'm cool with them starting with a Superman movie. I'll be really, really anxious to see who they cast in that role. James Gunn apparently is writing that. And they're trying to talk him into directing it. But I don't think he wants to get into the director's chair too much because he doesn't want this just to be his own personal pet project. But then they're going to be doing a Batman and Damian Wayne movie. I think that's it. If you didn't want to do another Batman origin story, that's a good idea to go there. I hate that we're not going to see, the first two, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. We won't be seeing those Robins, but I'm sure they'll be alluded to. You'll maybe hear about how Joker killed Jason Todd or something like that. Something going to be there. But I think that's an interesting relationship to kind of go along with that we've never seen on film before is with Damian Wayne and Bruce Wayne as a bat. So that should be fun, I think. And they're doing a Supergirl movie, guys. Look, if you've seen the Supergirl movie from the 80s, finally, I'm glad we're finally going to get an updated version of this. So, again, I think these are great ideas. They got those 3 characters. I'm surprised we don't get Wonder Woman this early. There is a Themyscira, I think it's supposed to be like generations before Wonder Woman. There's going to be something on HBO Max for that. But I was surprised not to see him starting with the DC Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But again, you get Supergirl in there, so I'm excited to see a fresh take on that, especially since we did get a pretty good Wonder Woman movie, 5 years ago. So cool. Give Supergirl a shot. I'm excited for that. But I think the one I'm most excited for, believe it or not, is Swamp Thing. And it's because I think that James Gunn is that type who has one foot into horror just right, but where he still is able to, use levity when it counts and things like that to keep it from being just a straight horror film. He's so good at that. And I think that, if you look at what he started with Slither, you guys ever see Slither by James Gunn? If that's kind of like a template for the style of movie that Swamp Thing's going to be, that's going to be so good, guys. And I think that it could eventually learn into, Justice League Dark and things like that. But my big hope with that is John Constantine shows up in that, because John Constantine does show up in Swamp Thing quite frequently. And I would love to see them open the door for down the road, either a Justice League Dark or a John Constantine movie, a Hellblazer movie. It's exciting for me as a fan. I know there's a lot of skepticism, and there should be. Warner Brothers has, stepped in it numerous times. But at least now they have someone in place who knows what he has, at least. I believe James Gunn's a big enough fan to know how important these IPs are and how to treat them with care and to take the time. They are. I mean, this don't start for like 2.5 years, guys. So they're taking their time with it. They're going to do it right. I have faith in that. And if it flames out, it flames out. But you know what? I'm not going to just chalk it up to it's got no chance. I don't think so. I don't think so, because I feel like I believe enough in these characters, and I believe enough in what DC Comics has meant for over 100 years to know that this is going to be important to a lot of people. And there's a lot of fans like me, huge DC fans, that hasn't liked what they've done to them on film so far. And we're hungry. We're waiting for that moment for this to be done right and faithfully. And if James Gunn gets Green Lantern on the big screen one day, then I will be having like an idol of James Gunn and worshiping it in my room here, because I have wanted to see Now, I don't even talk about the old one, okay? I'm talking about a good, faithful Green Lantern movie with special effects that don't make me want to cry. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see, guys. It's a long way until then, but I did want to address it. No, I went a little long here because DC Comics and mainly Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, these are very, very important characters to me, and I can't wait to hopefully see them in the hands of someone who understands what makes them tick. So, guys, that was my week. What did your week look like? Why don't you drop in the comments? Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing. Who is going to win the Super Bowl? I would love to know these things. Drop in the comments, guys, and let me know.